There's a collection here of locations where the equipment has had some issues recently. And in particular, some of those pieces of equipment have had failures colored here in red. And those locations are of interest because, the equipment has stopped working and we've lost production. So if I drill down into those areas that have a failure, the red dots on the map, I can see there's a characteristic pattern that's been occurring where the green here is the current sensor, which has been sort of trending down and spiking, and the blue is the pressure sensor, which has been trending up. And I can look at this in a little more detail. If I look at, say, 4 wells that have line up 4 wells here at the point of failure and look backwards in time, with the pressure going up and current going down sometime before the failure. And I can understand this in a little more detail. If I click into a particular well where there's not been any issue, I can see just a little bit of variability, say between 578, 572, just sort of random noise. Whereas here's a well that has failed and I can see a big jump from sort of 521 to 678. And each time it spikes like this, the well is shutting itself off and we're losing production. So I can, in Spotfire, I can go in and calculate those control limits here on the pressure side and the current side, and I can, decide, how here's where there's not been any issue, and here's where there has been an issue, and I can calculate my thresholds to be able to detect that sort of issue. I can back test that against historical data to come up with the correct sensitive thresholds. And while this has been going on, I started up a feed simulator of new data coming through the Streambase engine. There's a feed sim of data coming through here now, and I've set up this dashboard to monitor that new data. So here's here's that data coming into the live feed. The graph here, current is on the x-axis. This is the well on the y-axis. The size of the circle is the pressure. So when you see a big circle forming and dropping to the axis, that means the current is getting low and the pressure, the size of the circle, is getting big. And you can see that's happening here across the collection of wells. So I can click on one of those wells and I can get a closer view of it. I can see the pressure trace here and the current trace here with pressure increasing, current decreasing, and the well shutting itself off. I can get a visual on those readings. I can also, right-click on this and, send a message, notify someone up in the region that this is a high-priority situation, and take a look at this well, number 5. So it gives you this, live monitoring situation, but also in the background, I've set up an email notification to occur for particular when there's a serious situation that email occurs. And here's an email that's just come in. I can see the pressure's gone up, the current's gone down. Somebody can get that email and take an action on it. I also have wired this up to get more detailed root cause analysis added into the Spotfire library, and I'm going to get a bit of a more detailed analysis now on that, on that particular notification. So, you've got a live surveillance dashboard, but you've also got the, the ability to get a notification going out to the responsible engineer. The root cause analysis can have a little more context associated with it. So in this case, this particular well has been spiking for quite a while. So that's one to go and fix. So in combination with the notification, the root cause analysis, and the live surveillance, we're getting a good picture on the collection of wells and their performance. So we just saw an analysis where we published up a Spotfire threshold for pressure and current monitoring. where there were a number of steps that we also published up for doing the calculations. The pressure average calculations, features on temperature, the plus or minus 3 standard deviations around the pressure and current. Those calculations are all being done on the fly from the data that are coming. Here's the live feed of the data. Here's the SpotFire connection. Here's the calculations that are occurring. Just like we did on the SpotFire side, those are now happening on the fly in Streambase. And then the exception handling, when pressure goes above a certain set of standard deviations, we're going to take an action. Now that action includes a notification, but also this is a piece of XML that is generated from SpotFire that we push into Streambase that has the pre-programmed root cause analysis that is kicked off as when that threshold is exceeded. And then this is the piece that is pushing the computed data out into the live data mart, the cache that we're populating back into SpotFire for getting the surveillance on the equipment. So this is the live feed of data, including the live features that have been calculated and the thresholds and summaries that we're seeing on the data.